Hey Sasso Squad and Scandalites, how are y'all doing today? I hope it's well. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to another YouTuber. Her name is KD Uncensored. When you guys get a chance, please check out her channel. She reviews things such as movies, short stories, and just talks about pretty much anything that she wants to talk about. She's very good at it. As a matter of fact, she reviewed one of my short stories and I was very pleased with her review. So when you guys get a chance, go ahead and check her out. I'm going to leave the link in the description and look for this face right here. And now let's go ahead and get to it. This is going to be another old Hollywood scandals video. This video is going to be about My Heart is Crying, Crying, Yay! Lonely teardrop. Mr. Jackie Wilson, Mr. Excitement. Come on, let's get to it. Jack Leroy Wilson Jr. was born on June 9th, 1934 in Highland Park, Michigan. He was the third and only surviving child of Jack Leroy Wilson Sr. and Eliza May Wilson. And because he was their only surviving child, Eliza May spoiled Jackie Jr. tremendously. That was her heart, and she tried to give him the world. If you look in the dictionary and look up Mama's Boy, Jackie Wilson's photo would be right there. That's what I'm trying to say. Early on in his life, everybody started to call Jackie Jr. Sonny. And I'm guessing he got this nickname because he was a junior and his daddy was already Jackie and he was the son. So I guess people started calling him Sonny. That's just me guessing. I'm not sure, but that was his nickname. And although Jackie was born to his parents together and married, unfortunately, that did not last long. Jackie Sr. had trouble finding and keeping a job. He would be at a job for just a little while. All of a sudden he coming home, they fired me, I don't know what happened. And Eliza did try to put up with this, but then he started drinking alcohol and it became a little bit too much. So they separated either when Jackie was 6 or 9 years old. After they separated, Jack Sr. didn't even really try anymore. He just pretty much gave up and he gave into his habit. So he became an alcoholic, like a wino living on the street. And Jackie's mother, Eliza, of course, did not want this for her son. She wanted her son to grow up in a different way and make something of himself. So she took him to church all the time. Every Sunday, they were there front and center. Another thing that was said about Eliza May, Jackie's mother, is that she could sing, sing very well. And so she started Jackie to singing like her. She even got him to join the church choir. And I know Eliza was like, look at my baby. He's doing so good, you know, thank you, God. Baby, as soon as Jackie left church, honey, he was somewhere shooting dice on the streets, gambling, drinking and everything, just acting a fool out here. But even Eliza May herself, yes, she was a church woman through and through, but also, baby, she still was a young woman. So when a handsome man named John Lee came around, Eliza May did a double take just like that, and she and John Lee started dating. Eliza May wasn't no silly little girl like she was when she married Jackie's daddy. She knew this time to look for something in a man, and John Lee had it. As I stated before, he was handsome, had a great job at the Ford plant. He had Eliza May and little Jackie Jr. riding around in a big Cadillac. John Lee had it going on. And soon Eliza May made him her husband. Now this also has conflicting reports because I read somewhere that it was a common law marriage and I read somewhere else that they were officially married. Whatever the case, Jackie was happy, Eliza May were happy, and they were on their way. John Lee even moved them from the little house that they were in to a nicer house. And it was not that far away from the old house, but it was in a nicer neighborhood. This made life a little bit more stable for Jackie and Eliza. And eventually, a few years later, Eliza gave birth to a little girl named Joyce Ann, and she would be the only sibling that Jackie Wilson would ever have. Now with this new neighborhood they lived in came new friends, and Jackie quickly got acquainted with a friend named Don Hudson. Now as far as I know, Jackie Wilson and Don Hudson shared a lot of the same interests, and they became very close very fast. So close that Jackie used to spend the night at Don's house. They were together all the time until Don Hudson left to join the North Korean War at the age of 15. Now I'm sure Jackie was a little sad to see his friend leave, but honey, them tears dried right up when he thought about who Don Hudson left behind that Jackie could spend time with. That was Don's little sister, Frida Hudson. Now it is said that nobody was surprised that little Frida caught Jackie's eye, even at the young age of 10 years old, because the girl was said to be a looker. She had hair flowing down her back, a pretty little face, and eyes that Jackie could get lost in. And lost he was. In fact, Jackie was smitten. You see, it came out later to Frida that Jackie had always had his eyes on her. And when he spent the night with Dawn, he really just spent the night over there so he can catch a glimpse of Frida. He even told Frida that her mother had actually caught on and had told him one time when he spent the night that, little boy, I don't know if you need to come back over here because I seen the way you was looking at my daughter, so I don't know about you. So everybody knew he had eyes for Frida, I guess, except Frida. When he finally told Frida how he felt, he even asked her for a kiss. And of course, she said no and ran off giggling with her hair flowing in the wind. I'm lying, child. That girl kissed that boy all up in his mouth. Frida said that was her man now. She said she looked at Jackie like her knight in shining armor. As time went on, though, Frida learned that she was not Jackie's only one. And she also learned that his armor did not shine so bright. Because that boy was out in these streets fighting, cursing, like I told y'all before, gambling, drinking, just carrying on something fierce. And baby, they said Jackie would fight anybody at any time, at any place. They said that he was a little short thing, but he wasn't scared of nobody. For some reason, he just loved to hang out with tough crowds. And soon he joined a gang called the Shakers. And their name might be kind of funny and lame today, but baby, back then the Shakers wasn't nothing to play with. Even Otis Williams talked about how he was scared of the leader of the gang. And that guy's name was Maurice Munson. And per Otis, a lot of folks were scared of that dude. He said he was a mean looking dude with a scar above his lip. And he would wear his long hair parted down the middle with a do-rag, you know. And they said he wasn't nothing to play with, like he was no joke. The Shakers weren't a joke. And so while y'all sitting up there laughing at their name, they probably called themselves the Shakers because folks was probably shaking in their boots when they walked by. And see, that's what y'all get for sitting up there laughing at somebody, laughing because their name called the Shakers. And by y'all, I mean me, because I was the one laughing because their name was called the Shakers. Now, some people said that even though Jackie was a member of the gang, he was like an honorable mention type member. Like, he didn't really get into anything bad with them. He just wanted to be a part of them, and they liked him, so they was like, yeah, you a part of the Shakers. But Jackie had to be doing something bad because he was sent to a detention center at least twice between the ages of like 13 and 16. So, come on now. And although he was troublesome and very wild, he did enroll himself into high school. He probably just done that for his mama or something like that, because other people said that although he was active when he was at school, he was barely ever there. And that's of course because he wanted to be the man out in these streets. So once again, he's out there fighting and doing his thing, but he did parlay the fighting into something that was constructive. He started trying to box professionally. And allegedly, he was pretty good at it. So here go Jackie now, walking around singing, part of a gang, boxing. Child, he ain't had no time for school, so he went ahead and quit at the age of 15. And now that he was doing all these things that he felt like made him somebody, he got enough confidence to approach a girl named Ernestine Smith. And Miss Ernestine was not like the rest of these girls that he was trying to talk to. Miss Ernestine was raised by very strict and religious parents. So it wasn't finna be none of these stealing kisses and running off and touching on the butt and all that stuff. Wasn't gonna be none of that with Ernestine, and her daddy made sure of it. She was saying that her daddy was telling her every day to stay away from those boys out there, especially that Jackie Wilson, or Sonny Wilson, like they called him at the time. And from what Ernestine said, she nodded and said, yes, sir, and she wanted to obey her daddy. So on the day Jackie approached her, she was outside playing and doing whatever teenage girls did at that time, and Jackie come walking up to her. Hey girl, come here. Ernestine said she didn't budge. Here go Jackie. Girl, don't you hear me talking to you? I said come here. And so Ernestine walked over to him and she was like, yes. And he was like, did you not hear me talking to you? You didn't hear me call you? When I talk to you and tell you to come here, you come at this instant. So Ernestine is like, okay, well, what do you want? And that's when Jackie is like, are you gonna be my girl or not? And Ernestine is like, basically like, other girls might be charmed by this behavior, but she thought he was mean. She kind of was scared of him. And plus she remembered what her daddy said. So she said, she replied no and took off running. And I mean, I bet Jackie was standing there looking stupid, probably confused because all that stuff worked on the other girls. But Ernestine wasn't about that life. Oh, and let me tell you this, I forgot to tell y'all. So it's rumored that Jackie Wilson, by the time he quit school, he had 15 girls pregnant. 15 girls in his school pregnant with his baby. I don't believe this though, because what are kids at? I mean, what, did everybody suffer a miscarriage or everybody went and got abortions or something? Like, dang, Jackie, you doing it like that? And what's even more crazy is with this, whether it's rumor or not or whatever, Frida had to hear about Jackie doing all this stuff with other girls. And you would think hearing about all this mess would run her off. But no, y'all got it all wrong. Frida is what some of us would call today a down A chick. She stuck by her man. As a matter of fact, when he joined the gang, just to impress him, she joined the gang too. She was a part of the female version of the Shakers, and they were called the Shaker Rats. And they would put on their long skirts, walking down the neighborhood all tough and stuff like that, and they would go to other neighborhoods and beat up girlfriends of the opposite gang members. Frida was going hard for her man, at least in her teenage mind she was. And eventually, Frida, being so down with Jackie, got her little tail pregnant. And I know y'all are like, what? Where's everybody's parents? Why is all these kids living like grown-ups? But per word on the street, Jackie Wilson's upbringing with his mother was very liberal. He was super spoiled. He got his way. He could do what he wants. And as far as Frida, her mother apparently did try to stop it. You know, she tried to look out for her daughter, but Frida probably was a little sneaky. Now, sources say Jackie was forced to marry Frida either by his father or by her father. And I don't know how true that is, but it does seem like he was forced by somebody, because baby, come the wedding day, Frida was standing there waiting and Jackie tail was nowhere to be found. And so Frida is almost in a panic, like, where is he? And that's when her dad comes up and is like, I'm going to go find him. And Frida was like, hold on, daddy, take me with you, because I want to see what he's doing. They go and they find him at some sort of local talent show. He on stage just hollering in the mic, just hollering in the mic because he drunk as everything. So her dad goes and yanks his little butt off stage and is like, you know, you getting married today. And Frida, of course, was disappointed. But she said when they got in the car, he got close to her and he was like, I was coming, baby. It's just the nerves. I just wanted to calm my nerves. So when he said that, they ended up going to the house. They got married and everything was well. Now, I know I haven't touched on it much, but up until this point, I want to let you guys know that Jackie has been singing in multiple talent shows. He wants to be a singer. He's been telling everybody that he's going to make it big one day. This is one of his dreams. And he is also still boxing, but that ended soon after Frida gave birth. And Jackie gives two stories for this, but people say both of them are lies. The first story that he gives is that on one of those fights in the 4th round, he got knocked out so hard that soon as he woke up from the floor, he started thinking over his options like, well, I can't do this. I gotta find something else. So he was acting like that. The second story is that one day he had a match and his mother was sitting in the audience. And she said, hey, Jackie. And he looked over to her. And when he looked, his opponent clopped him upside the head about 17, 18 times that he fell out. And when he woke up, his mama was dragging him out of the boxing ring, fussing at him like, oh, no, baby, you ain't finna be doing this. Ain't nobody finna be hitting you upside the head like that. So both of those stories sound fake. I don't know what Jackie was talking about, child. All we do know for sure is that he gave up boxing soon after Jacqueline's birth. Now, Jackie does get very serious about singing after he gives up boxing. So let's go ahead and get into his career a little bit. People loved Jackie Wilson's voice. He said that he had been told from a child that one day he was going to be famous. So he got a job at a very early age at a club called Lee's Sensation Club. He used a fake ID so he can get a job there because he was too young to be singing in the club. Then, after that, he formed a group named the Falcons, in which he sang with his cousin, Levi Stubbs. You guys know Levi Stubbs from being the leader of the Four Tops. While singing with the Falcons, he was discovered by a talent agent named Johnny Otis. And Johnny Otis recruited him for a group called the Thrillers. The Thrillers eventually changed their name into the Royals. And while singing with the Royals, Wilson was discovered by a manager named Al Green. No, not that Al Green. This was another Al Green. And this Al Green managed Laverne Baker, Little Willie John, Johnny Ray, and Della Reese. And when he joined, he and Little Willie John got like this. Honey, they would do all kind of stuff together. They were in cahoots. They would have women. They would go party. They would do whatever they wanted to do. He and Little Willie John together were wild men. After this, Jackie recorded a song called Danny Boy on Dizzy Gillespie's records. Danny Boy was so good that when Billy Ward of the Dominoes heard it, he recruited Jackie to be a replacement for Clyde McPhatter. And if you hear Clyde McPhatter sing, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna put a song in the description. It's called White Christmas. The high-pitched person that sings on that track, that's Clyde McPhatter. When you hear it though, I guarantee you're gonna be like, wait a minute, no, that's Jackie Wilson. That sounds just like Jackie Wilson. Because Jackie Wilson and Clyde McPhatter sound almost exactly the same on certain songs. So anyways, Billy Ward contacts Jackie Wilson and kind of tells him, come on down. We're looking to probably replace Clyde McPhatter with you if you come on down and let us hear you sing. Baby, Jackie Wilson almost blew that audition. You know why? This how he walked in there. Clyde McPhatter? I sing way better than Clyde McPhatter, so y'all don't have to worry about that. Like, just pumped up, like he was better than everybody. Child, Billy Ward them almost tossed him outside on his tail. Don't come in here acting like that, and don't do Clyde McPhatter like that. But they got in his tail and let him know what it was, and soon he had a little bit of humility about himself and basically let them know, like, okay, I won't act like that again. And that was a good thing, because Clyde McPhatter actually worked with him and told him, hey, this is what you need to do to replace me. You need to train your voice to do this and do that. So in actuality, he had a lot to learn from Clyde McPhatter. And that little attitude he walked in with just wasn't gonna do it. So Jackie learns everything he needs to learn from Clyde McPhatter. He does become the high-pitched singer that the Dominoes need. Everything is going good and everything is steady, but that was the problem though. It was steady. It wasn't going lower, but it wasn't rising either. It was like the group was not making a big difference anymore. Their fans wanted Clyde. And if they couldn't have Clyde, they wasn't really accepting of Jackie Wilson. So any type of new music that the Dominoes put out, like, it wouldn't go anywhere. It wouldn't chart. It wouldn't do anything. The only thing fans responded to is if they would come and do a live show and perform songs that Clyde McPhatter had already sang. So, it wasn't benefiting Jackie, really. So Jackie stayed with the Dominoes for 3 years tops, then he got up out of there. As Al Green sat back and watched Jackie grow, he eventually offered Jackie a solo contract with a company called Brunswick. But shortly after that, Al Green died, and a guy named Nat Tarnopol, I guess that's how you say his name, or Tarnopol, I don't know. But Nat took over and started to manage Jackie's career. He also rose to the position of president of the Brunswick label. Now, Nat Tarnopol was one of those shiesty people. Those people that love black folks. They all on black people's side. They'll take up for you. They'll do anything for you. They a brother practically, as long as you're making them money with your talents. And baby, he was a great player at the game. You know what I'm saying? He had a whole fleet of black excellence over there at Brunswick. When he welcomed Jackie into the fold, he had a master songwriter sitting there waiting, and that songwriter's name was Berry Gordy. And he wrote Jackie Wilson's first big hit, and that was called Reet Petite. And when I say hit, I mean later on, because at first it was just like a modest success. But over the years, it became an international hit. Now, Berry Gordy didn't write that song all alone, though. There was also Raquel Billy Davis, as well as Berry's sister, Gwendolyn Gordy. They also wrote To Be Loved, I'll Be Wondering, and Lonely Teardrops. And that was amongst many other songs. And honey, they just a writing. Jackie just over there singing, just singing his little heart out. And here go Nat Tarnopol. Good. Because he was taking all that money. But see, Nat thought everybody was dumb. Everybody was not dumb. There was one man that had more smarts than Nat Tarnopol could have ever imagined. And y'all know who that man was? Say it with me. Berry Gordy. And people say what they want about Berry Gordy, but I'm going to tell you something. He may have been shiesty in his own way, but the man was smart. And he knew better than to do all that work and let somebody else enjoy the fruits of his labor. So what he did, he held his head down, he stayed quiet, and he stacked. Even though he was underpaid for the work that he did, he, as well as his sister, as well as Billy Davis, very much so underpaid, because Nat was taking everything away from the people that worked for him. Berry still shut his mouth, held his head down, and stacked his money. And honey, I can imagine it all in my mind right now. It give me chills, baby. I can just see Nat walking in the room. Berry, Gwen, Billy, Y'all done with another song? I need y'all to write another song. And you know, Barry, he ain't saying nothing. He ain't saying nothing, y'all. He just sitting there quiet, you know, just quiet and looking. Then all of a sudden he look up and say, Nat, I'm not writing another song. You know that house, they've been making it look all pretty and stuff? You see, that's my new record label. And the name of it is Tamla Records. As a matter of fact, you know what, Nat? Tell your talent to come see me when they ready for a better deal. Hey! Yes! Thank you! Honey? Woo! I get the shouting when I think about it. I don't know if it happened like that, but it seemed like it did, y'all. It seemed like it did. Thank you. Hallelujah. Back to the story. So Jackie Wilson is doing great. He's flying high. He has the hit. And he is dynamic when he gets on stage. Oh, baby, he gets hit with a fervor, honey. You know, he taking off his tie and his jacket and he throwing it out into the audience. He doing the splits. He's doing backflips. He even up there doing, you know, boxing moves when he's singing, honey. And America is floored by his performances. He quickly gets the name of Mr. Excitement because he is just crazy and incredible on stage. During this stage in his career, Jackie influenced almost every upcoming artist that was coming up in the generation behind him. Two names that stand out though are Teddy Pendergrass and Elvis Presley. Teddy Pendergrass said that he snuck out the house to go see Jackie Wilson. He was only about 13 years old. And he said at the show, he saw Jackie Wilson got raw. And I'm gonna explain his raw performances to y'all in just a moment. But let me tell you this. So Teddy went to a raw performance, all right? And at this performance, he saw women just pretty much hanging on to Jackie Wilson. Like they were ripping at him, tearing at him, trying to get pieces of him. And Teddy was blown away. This is the first time that he saw something like this. He'd never seen a man on stage whip these women up into a frenzy. When he saw it, he was like, that guy, that person. That's what I want to be like. I want to be like him. I want those girls hanging off of me like that. And we all know that Teddy sure enough got his wish. The second person that was very much influenced by Jackie Wilson is Elvis Presley. And we all know this. People even say that Elvis stole everything that he got from Jackie. Some people say stole, some people say borrowed. Jackie Wilson looked at it, I guess, as borrowed because I don't know. They say that he and Elvis had a very good friendship. They say that Elvis told Jackie, like, yeah, you're my idol. I look up to you. And therefore that relaxed Jackie. And you know, he was kind of cool with Elvis doing his stuff. So they try to make it seem like outsiders are the one that started this whole thing about him stealing and stuff like that. But you know, I don't know. Maybe Jackie did feel like Elvis stole his stuff on the inside, but because of the time period they were in, maybe he didn't want to speak against it. I don't know. I do know that supposedly when people told Elvis, like, Jackie Wilson is the black Elvis, that Elvis allegedly said, well, hey, if he's the black Elvis, I guess I'm the white Jackie Wilson. And if Elvis did say that, props to you, Elvis. Those were the two biggest artists that I know of that he influenced that came in the generation right behind them. Now, the biggest artist of all time that he influenced was, of course, Michael Jackson. Now, let's get into these raw performances I was telling y'all about. Baby, they got raw. And I'm going to just tell y'all what it is because we keep it real here. When he knew he was going to an all-black small club and he didn't have to worry about white eyes, Jackie Wilson got absolutely nasty on stage, baby. He was just uncensored and risque. They said when he performed at places like that, he didn't wear underwear, okay? He came out and made sure his pants showed his stuff just right, had it sitting up. He'd come out there doing all that shaking and jiggling. And he would find the ugliest woman in the crowd, or the woman that he thought was the ugliest. He would invite her up there, you know, and he would let her give him a kiss. And because he felt like the prettier women would be like, well, baby, if she get to kiss him, I know I get to kiss him. Matter of fact, I should be able to marry him if he didn't kiss her ugly tail. So this is the way Jackie is looking at this. And he also feels like these women will continue to buy his records as well as follow him around and pay for tickets to his shows. Something else he would do was take a salt tablet, like a salt pill with water, and he would drink it before he went on stage. And he did that to make himself sweat profusely when he was on stage because he said the women loved it. And so what he would do is just do all this shaking and all this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, and he'd fall out pretty much. You know, he's just overwhelmed by all the women and all the sweat. You know, he's just going crazy. And so the women are like, oh, Jackie, oh my God, you know, and they running on stage and they crawling all over him and pulling his clothes off and kissing him all in the mouth because they try to revive him. He needs to be revived. And in order to do that, he needs all his female fans to come up there and get all over him. And baby, them women was climbing up there and they was touching places they ain't had no business touching. They're actively pulling his clothes down. So I'm pretty sure a couple of women went inside of his pants and touched him while he had fallen out on the stage. I mean, he would get dirty, like just hunching the stage, hunching the women that came on stage. It was debauchery of the worst kind. He was into very bad behavior and his audience was as well. And then there's this one story, this one woman that was screaming louder than everybody else, honey. She was just into it, baby. She just, got knocked out, baby. Her boyfriend or husband or man or whoever she was with, baby, he started beating that woman all upside her head right there during the show in the audience. So Jackie sees this and he's like, you know, shocked, and he's still singing, but he's like, wait a minute, these are my women. You go to Jackie Wilson's show, you are his woman. You know what I'm saying? So where does another man get off hitting one of my women? This woman is in my audience. She's acting a fool over me. So what's going on? So Jackie's just singing. You know, he probably just give me a yes, another chance. And so he's still singing and he gets up to the man and he's like, you know my heart does nothing but, you know, so he's hitting the guy. He starts hitting the guy in the back of the head, the face. Of course, I don't know if he beat the guy up to the beat, but that would have been funny if he did. But I do know that he did put hands on that man, ran back to the doggone stage and finished his song. Baby, just messy. Jackie was messy. The man was messy. The whole show was messy. And I know they had a lot of fun. So ladies, would that not make you love a guy doing something like that? And that's what I'm about to get into. Women loved Jackie Wilson. Now, first of all, let's get his alleged flings out of the way. It is said that as soon as he and Laverne Baker met each other when he signed with Al Green, they started a fling right then. Then, of course, there's Mary Wells, Ruth Brown, who had that secret with Clyde McFadden. Lee Angel, who was Little Richard's main thing when he wanted to swing that way. And some folks even say Tammy Terrell. And you think that's something, but oh honey, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Apparently Jackie Wilson's love life was legendary. Even Jackie Wilson's wife Frida said that his appetite for was so big that she was concerned, like it scared her, it put her off a little bit because he just wanted to all the time. She said he was like a dog. So when she was like, no, that would not work, she had to be firm with him. Like, no, Jackie, no. I said no. I mean, dang. The woman even said if she gave in every time he wanted her to, she probably would have had about 15 children before the age of 30. And that's messing with her on top of messing with everybody else. So the man was a rover, honey, or something. A rumba? I don't know. And even though he drove women mad with his appeal and his style and everything that he was, it is said that he also disrespected them terribly. He would do things like be dating a woman or at least have a woman on his arm. You know, she's in the car with him and he would stop off at another woman's house, go in there and do what he wants to do and then come back in the car and that woman that was in the car better be in the car waiting for him. That's how Jackie rolled. He also would have Frida or any other woman that he was with at the time. If he was out with that woman, he didn't have any qualms about talking to another woman. Like asking another woman, hey, beautiful, what's your name? Can I get to know you? You know, stuff like that. And he's with another woman. She's right there beside him on his arm. And you know the sad part about it is that even though the woman he was talking to saw that he was with another woman, she would still be like, yeah, Jackie Wilson, sure, you can know my name. Like just crazy over this man. Now, some people think that he also messed around with Etta James, but I don't think Etta James ever said this or ever admitted to this. She did, however, say that they were friends and that he would help her out anytime she needed help. But people probably think he messed around with Etta James because it's almost for certain that he messed around with her friend. And that lady's name was Lithafane Prison. They called her Faye. Let me tell y'all something about Faye. I watched that Hendrix movie with Wood Harris when he played Jimi Hendrix. If you haven't seen it, that's a good movie. Some people don't like it. I think it's a good movie, whatever. Anyways, on that movie, they portrayed Faye as like, you know, this innocent girl he was with and he loved her and he ended up leaving her to be with another lady. So in my mind, I'm like, you know, he done sat up there and left that little innocent black girl because she wasn't wild and stuff like that. He done sat up there and got with somebody else. Baby, that is so far from the truth. Litha Faye in prison was out there doing what she wanted to do. She was a free spirit and she slept with many a man. All type of entertainers, all type of celebrities loved Miss Litha Faye. And I'm not judging or saying what she was doing was wrong. I'm just saying that I learned not to assume just by watching some little made-for-TV movie. So what I was saying, though, is that Etta James and Faye were very, very best friends. They shared everything. They shared secrets. They were together all the time. And it was very possible that they shared men back when Etta James was out doing her doggone thing. So maybe they shared Jackie Wilson. Hold on, no, because here goes some little tea and stuff out here. Every woman didn't throw herself at him. Some women said that they didn't want to, and Mr. Jackie Wilson took it. Now, there are a few people that have made this claim, but the most famous and well-known person that made this claim was Miss Patti LaBelle. Allegedly. And I know y'all are like, Ashley, you ain't got to say allegedly. She said it in her book and all this, baby. It don't even matter. On this channel, I will continue and always say allegedly because y'all know what it is. Anyway, now that I'm done preaching at y'all, let me tell you what Patti said. She said she was singing with Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, and Jackie Wilson was on the same bill of the show, I suppose. And so she was backstage, and I don't know if she was asleep, sitting down, laying down, I don't know. All I know is that all of a sudden, she said hands started dragging her into another room. And so she's looking around, and she sees that it's Jackie Wilson along with people she called accomplices. And so while they're dragging her, Jackie is like kissing her on the neck, trying to kiss her in the mouth, just like trying to have his way with her, touching her all over. And she said she smelled the alcohol on his breath. And she said she started to say like, no, like stop, get off of me, what you doing or whatever. And he wouldn't stop. She said he got more forceful. And then she said at that point, she realized that she could not fight him. So she started screaming as loud as she could, stop, get off of me, you know, just making a big ruckus, a big scene. Baby, they dropped her where she was at and ran off. And in another case of Jackie Wilson forcing himself on a woman, there's this girl named Alexis Taylor. And apparently she says that Jackie Wilson is her father. She says that he forced himself up on her mother back when he was in Georgia. And some people feel like Alexis is indeed Jackie Wilson's child. They say that she looks like him. So Jackie is still out here cheating. Been cheating, will continue to cheat. And now there are two new women that he is messing around with, but he's known these women for a while. They were the presidents of the fan club of Billy Ward and the Dominoes. And you know, for their presidents of the fan club, the men wanted very beautiful women. So they got Harleen Harris because she was a model for Jet magazine, and they got Juanita Jones, which I don't know if she modeled or whatever. So Jackie, he famous now. He getting a lot of fan mail. Shoot, maybe he needs somebody to be president of his fan club. So like I said, Jackie starts dating both of these women, and the women at one point in time seems like they were friends. And as time passes, he finds that he likes Harleen Harris better than he likes Juanita Jones. Harleen Harris is a beautiful model. She's a really, really fine lady. And Jackie loves having this level of beauty on his arm. So Harleen is his and he is hers. Forget about Frida and definitely forget about Juanita Jones. And see, he should have watched himself though, because you can't go messing with both of these women and making them feel like you're their man, and then you choose one of them and phase the other one out. And I guess Jackie just felt like, oh, you know, she'll be all right. Frida was okay. Maybe she'll just go disappear somewhere, go disappear in the wind. But Juanita Jones certainly did not disappear. And if Jackie thought she did, when she reappeared, his behind found out then just how serious Miss Juanita Jones was. And in the very early hours of February the 15th, 1961, Jackie and Harleen were coming home from a date night. So they pull up at their apartment and they're walking up and they're trying to open the door, and all of a sudden Juanita Jones steps out with a gun and fires 2 shots, and she shot Jackie Wilson in the stomach. Now, some reports said that she was trying to shoot Harleen, but Jackie stepped in the way and she shot him instead. And then other reports say that she came to shoot Jackie Wilson, so she actually hit her targets. And then other reports say that she came and she was about to commit suicide in front of him because she was jealous, and that he told her to stop and kind of hit her arm, and that's when she mistakenly shot him in the stomach 2 times. Whatever the case was, it certainly was not what the news reported. They reported that Juanita Jones didn't even know Jackie Wilson. They said that she was a crazed fan and she was mad because he wouldn't respond to her letters, and she probably was mad because he wouldn't respond to her letters, but it certainly wasn't because she was just a crazed unknown fan. She was mad because he had left her behind to be with Harleen. And honey, it can get more messier than that. Some people even say that Juanita Jones and Jackie Wilson have a child together. This I do not know, but I do know that there were no charges filed against her. Some people even said that when he was in the hospital recovering, Juanita Jones showed up to check on him. Now, on the other end, Harleen Harris supposedly wasn't nowhere to be found. They said when the gunshots went off, Harleen Harris got ghost and did not reappear into Jackie's life until a little while after that. And I mean, if that's true, I understand. Like, I'm not gonna be hanging out with you if women walking up with guns trying to kill me about it. In my case, I'm gonna disappear forever. So now Jackie Wilson is in the hospital. He loses a kidney, and also they cannot remove the bullets because they are lodged too close to his spine. So he has those bullets with him for the rest of his life. They work on him and they get him well, and he leaves. And when he leaves, a picture is snapped. On this picture, there's Jackie's mother, there's Jackie, and here's his wife, Frida. And ain't that kind of funny? Everything that he's been doing, his wife hadn't even been mentioned. He ain't even thought about his wife, okay? And now here she is in the picture with him. But they said that it wasn't even really Jackie's doing. It was Frida wanting to come see him, of course. And it was also like his management team saying like, oh my gosh, this is horrible coverage. You are supposed to be a married man. Here you are getting shot by one side chick because you're on a date with another side chick. So yes, we need your wife to come down here. We have to do a photo op. So, you know, they're trying to present him as the happily married family man. And honey, they said when Frida, Jackie, and his mama got back to the apartment, Frida went insane and acted a fool. She started ripping up Harleen's pictures, taking her clothes and ripping them up and throwing them out in the street and just destroying anything that had to do with Harleen Harris. But even after all this, Jackie still did not stop cheating on Frida. And when he completely healed, he sent her little behind back on her way to Detroit, and he started seeing Harleen Harris all over again. He just could not stop seeing her. She was very exciting for him. And she was exciting for him because she was a lot like him. She sank her claws into him very deep too, like she got all up in his emotions. If he played games, she played games. If he wanted to go without underpants out on that stage, she was going without underpants. If he wanted to play around and let all the women reach inside and touch him in all them places, she would let all them men reach inside and touch her in all those places. Now, in the midst of all of this going on in his love life, Jackie discovers that he's pretty much broke. He's not bringing in the money like he thought he should be bringing in. Sure, he has enough money to probably buy a car and a little bit of money in his pocket, but he doesn't have any big money. And not only is he seeing that he's broke and he don't have any money, he's also seeing that his contemporaries, well, some of them are doing very, very well. Sam Cooke was practically wealthy. He owned everything that he did, so all of his money was coming to him. And Jackie Wilson is just stuck watching this. And this brought on a little bit of depression for him and a little bit of jealousy, and I could see how it would. So he goes and asks Nat, and y'all know how it always is when the artist is being robbed blind. Man, palms got to be greased. You know what I'm saying? That's where your money went to. Your money went to the tour. Your money went to gas. Your money went to hotels. Jackie realized that he had been duped. His 8th grade education had not gotten him anywhere. However, he did try to stand up for himself. And this is where it's about to get a little deep and a lot of rumor, I think. But anyways, let's get to it. It is said that when it came time to re-sign the contract in 1964, Jackie said no, he did not want to sign again with Brunswick, Nat, he wanted to be done with them. And so Nat supposedly is like, well, you know, that's cool, that's fine or whatever. So Jackie is like, okay, well, cool, we're good. Nat is like, we're good, go on about your way. A few days later, Jackie is snatched up and kidnapped. taken somewhere and put in a little bitty closet with a bag or something over his head where he can't see and can't barely breathe. These people are beating him upside the head, they're not feeding him, and they leave him there. And then they come back and get him, I don't know after how long, and then holds him upside down over a balcony, kind of like matter of fact, it's just like 5 Heartbeats, because the 5 Heartbeats supposedly got that scene from this situation with Jackie Wilson. Once again, don't know how true it is. But anyways, holding him over the balcony and telling him like, you gonna sign, you gonna re-sign with Brunswick? And he's like, yes, whatever he has to say to save his life. And so when they put him back down, he ends up re-signing with Brunswick. But they also said when later that year in December, Sam Cooke ended up getting murdered, he felt like he made the right choice because he was one of many that believed that Sam Cooke was actually murdered to teach all black musicians a lesson. Do not get ahead of yourself. You work and sing for white people. We get the money, y'all just get out there and entertain. With all this going on, Jackie don't really know what to do with himself. But there is one thing he knows to keep doing, and that is to keep on cheating on Frida. And so after 14 years of marriage and 4 children, Frida was finished. They divorced in 1965. However, it is said that she later on regretted the fact that she divorced Jackie Wilson. After Jackie and Frida divorced, I'm sure he was a little bit sad about it. I mean, hey, he lost his wife, but he was able to have his freedom and do whatever he felt. And I do not believe that he wanted to get married again. But Nat Tarnopol stepped in and was like, Jackie, I think you need to remarry. Public is not pleased with the image that you have, so you need to marry again. And if the story about him being hung over a balcony and put in a closet is true, I can understand why he did say yes to Nat Tarnopol. And he ended up marrying Harleen Harris in 1967. So they're married now, and their relationship is just pretty much the same as it always has been. But it does settle from that wild stuff, and Jackie ends up getting a little bit content. You know, he's with his wife, they have a son now, he's a family man. And even though he's stressed, worried, and depressed about his finances and how he's practically getting robbed blind by the record label, he still has a contentment that he's here with his family. He just did not know how ruthless women could be. So like I said, they're content, they're married. I'm pretty sure Jackie is having talks with his wife, you know, complaining, probably crying to her. What are we gonna do? These people are robbing me. Nat is treating me any kind of way. You know how spouses talk to each other. They build each other up. They talk to each other about the problems. I'm sure that is what he and Harleen had started doing. And then he comes home one day. It's 2 stories. He either finds evidence that Harleen is sleeping with Nat Tarnopol, or he finds them in the bed together in his apartment. Whatever he found, it let him know that Harleen Harris was messing with the man that was robbing him blind. He packed up his stuff that day and never returned. He never saw Harleen Harris or their son again. At least not while he was in his right mind. And although he never saw her face to face again, he did go straight and file for a legal separation, and it was granted. But he never filed for a full divorce, and this decision would end up coming back to haunt him. After this whole mess right here, Jackie Wilson sank in a deep depression. He became a recluse. He became an almost hermit. He would not come out of the house for anybody. He didn't have any shows for real. The public lost interest. He kind of just went into his little space and he started wasting away. And if you think things couldn't get any worse, they absolutely did. That was the next year in 1970 when his 16-year-old son, Jackie Jr., got gunned down while he was standing on a friend's porch. After this, Jackie just pretty much whipped out the drugs. The drugs and alcohol, they brought him comfort from all the depression that was going on in his life. He basically gave up living. Eventually though, time does heal all wounds, and Jackie started to date again. He ends up meeting and falling in love with Lynn Guidry. Lynn is the one that kind of gets a pep back in his step. She gets him to start going back out in public. She gets him to start singing again. You know, he's doing shows. Nobody's seen him in forever, and here he is. He's living again. She also gives him 2 children. So Jackie had been through the most and the worst. But all in all, he was in good spirits on September 29th, 1975. And that is when he performed in the Good Old Rock and Roll Review in the Latin Casino in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And they said Jackie was up there singing and he was really rocking the crowd because he was singing Lonely Teardrops. And they do say that on the phrase, "My heart is crying, crying," he collapsed and he suffered a heart attack. Since he did collapse on those words, the audience felt like it was part of the show. So they were clapping and applauding and feeling like, oh my gosh, this guy is putting on a fantastic show. But it is said Dick Clark, and this whole thing was Dick Clark's review, his show, it said that he sensed that something was not right. And so he ran out there and he stopped the music. And that is when members of the Coasters came out on stage and they said, hey, he's not breathing. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where medical personnel tried to stabilize him. But the lack of oxygen to his brain caused him to slip in a coma. Now, what people don't know is in 1976, he actually made a brief recovery. Like, he woke up. He was even walking. He took a few steps. But then he slipped back into a semi-comatose state. It was also in 1976 that Bobby Womack had planned like a benefit program to raise funds for Jackie Wilson. And baby, y'all know it's finna get real messy right here. And thank you, Walt, because I got this from you. So how about Bobby Womack? Like I said, he put together this benefit program, okay? He has big time celebrities like the Supremes and other people donating money to this program, even regular people giving money because they all want to help Jackie Wilson with whatever they can. Honey, they said that Bobby Womack was actually on drugs at this time and he needed money for himself. Baby, why come that man stole all that money, then lied and told me it's for Jackie Wilson? Why come they said that man stole all that money and pocketed it, honey, and ain't paid for nothing when it came to Jackie Wilson? Honey, I told y'all it's a hot mess. Bobby Womack ought to be shaming himself for making an appearance in this story too, just to have something messy go down. And it ain't funny, but it is. But come on now, Bobby. But child, Walt also said that when Barry White found out, like, he wasn't playing about that. Everybody else probably forgave Bobby and was like, oh, well, whatever, he might need the money. Baby, they said Barry White got his boys and they went and found Bobby Womack and kicked his tail and told him, don't you ever steal nothing else from me. It's just all messy, honey. Let's get back to the story. Now, in June 1976, that is when it was deemed that Jackie Wilson could no longer speak and that he was not going to speak again. But they did say that he was aware of his surroundings. While all this is going on with Jackie, even more tragedy hits his family. In 1977, his daughter Sandra dies at the age of 24 years old, and it is said that she had a heart attack. And on top of this, people that were visiting Jackie in the nursing home started noticing that he was getting too small. Like, he looked like he was not getting good nutrition and like he was not being fed well. Joyce McRae, who was a very close friend of his, tried to become his caretaker. They either wanted him to be able to come home with them so they could care for him, or they wanted to be the one that comes to the hospital and kind of like has the say-so over his life, over what's going on, all that kind of stuff. Guess who came in there and stopped it? Harleen Harris, because she was still his legal wife and she still had the final say-so over Jackie Wilson as well as his affairs. I don't know if she ever did anything really big to help him or to assist him. I don't know. I was not there. But I know for sure that she did want to make it known that she was his legal wife and she had the final say-so. It seems like everybody forgot about him. All these so-called friends and family and everything else, it seems like they all forgot about him. And I know y'all are probably like, his mama, but his mama passed away in 1975, the same year that he had the heart attack. Maybe he was right to cling to his mother the way he did, because it seems like after she was gone, for the most part, nobody else really cared. Jackie Wilson lingered and languished in that retirement home all by himself until he finally passed away from complications of pneumonia. And that was on January the 21st, 1984, and he was only 49 years old. And so this was the old Hollywood scandalous tale of Mr. Jackie Wilson. And I know that this video was supposed to be Ray Charles. I know that, y'all. But listen though, there's a good reason behind it. I think I have a great source for Ray Charles. So I did not want to shoot the video until I find out if this source is going to talk to me or not. I really feel like I got a good chance comments with this source, and I didn't want to blow it by making the video and then the source is like, yeah, I'll talk to you, and then they got all the juicy stuff, and then we already made the video and I got to double back. So I just put him on hold for just a little bit longer until I see what goes on with this source, okay? And this time this church says there's a 99% chance that I don't care. But that's not me. That's not my attitude. That's just these shirts that I be getting that says this, okay? I just got a lot of t-shirts, so don't be trying to act like that's my real attitude. And lastly, I know I got all mushy and all gushy on y'all yesterday when I was telling y'all thank you, but I'm always gonna say thank you. Like, y'all don't understand, and y'all will understand once I start my membership and you guys can subscribe to the memberships and I can tell you guys my backstory and things like that, so y'all will understand. So I'm gonna keep on thanking y'all, and that's just what it's gonna be. Like, if you don't want me to thank you, I don't even know what you subscribe for, baby. Like, if you got a problem with me telling you thank you, then I don't even know what to tell you. But as long as you're a subscriber here, you're gonna be thanked by me. That's just the way it is. Go ahead, click like, subscribe, share this video, leave a comment, tell me how you feel. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a wonderful night. Bye.